So the ARPANET and BitNet, and these were only meant for the research related activities, but they were not commercialized. Commercialized in the sense like common man or common people cannot use it for their personal work. So these were the earlier agencies who started or who came up with the different types of networks. And then in 1990s, there was a foundation called as National Science Foundation, NSF-NET, which was created in 1986, replaced the ARPANET by 1990s. So this was the first computer or first, first network which was more popular and commercialized for the common people. And it came up in exist at 1990, and it was replaced, totally replaced the ARPANET and other two networks. They were also in the, they were also in the market, but it was not that much popularized, or it was not that much commercialized. So it was sponsored by the National Science Foundation, and by 1992, NSF connected more than 1 million of computers around the world. So in 1995, a small part of NSNet returned to being a research network. The rest became known as the internet. So if you can go back to the history in 1995, or between 1995 to between 2000, we can say in that 5 years, there was a large scope for the computer science engineers. Why? Because by 1995, most of the things that we were looking at was available on the internet, and it impacted a lot in the Asian countries because we were not that much developed. So, like countries in India, computer was hardly used, and we were never dealt with the concept of internet. So, as it came into the existence in the market, many of them started using the internet, and there was a large scope for the computer science engineers in India. And during that time, 1999 or 97, 98 and 99, Vajpayee was the Prime Minister of India, and he gave lot of opportunities, or he made it possible that Indian students should focus on the uh, internet, and they should give more importance for the computer science. Earlier days, our students, or the students in India, they were only concentrating more on the technology, like electronic engineers or electrical engineers, or the civil engineers or mechanical engineers. But because of having the concept of internet, we can learn anything from anywhere, and it also helped a lot of our Indian students to learn anything. So because of that, uh, we can say that still till today, many of the Indian students prefer to choose the computer science compared to other things. So, like from that time onwards, from 1995 onwards, rest was the history, because we all know that we can get anything from the internet, and we can learn many things. Not only learning, we can share the files, the resources, and a lot of things can be done by using the internet. So this was the brief history about the internet. So from the examination point of view, we need to understand when it was started. So the main important thing is in 1960s, DoD, that is the US Department of Defense, built the network, and it was meant for only the research projects related to the defense. And they also wanted to have a robust network. Robust means strong network. So even if one or two devices fail, or if there is any problem or network traffic, uh, they should be able to recognize it, and they should be able to recover it from the failure, so that the things should not affect. But it was meant for only the research activities related to only defense. And later on in 1970s and 80s, BitNet and CSNet, they built other networks, and it was meant for the research activities apart from defense. But these all were only this ARPANET, BitNet, and CSNet, they were not commercialized. So in 1990s or in 1995, we can say that NSFNet became more popular, and it created a network which was uh, sponsored by the NSF, and also it was commercialized so that normal people or common man can access the internet, and rest became the history. Now we will be discussing about the internet in more detail. Like in the previous classes also we have discussed, it is a collection of a number of computers and collection of networks and so on. So what basically is the internet? So internet is a huge collection of computers connected in a communications network. So when we say an internet, it is not only connection of one computer with another computer. There will be a lot of other devices or equipments are also required, and we can say that it is a collection of huge collection of computers, and also we may require some database servers or web servers and so on. But before we use this internet, we require or we need to follow some standards. Like in the previous class also I discussed, before you use the internet, we need to follow some guidelines, or we need to follow some standards. So that standard protocol, we call it as the TCP IP, or we call it as the transmission control protocol, or we call it as the internet protocol. So this is the basic protocol that is essential, or that is a must before we access something on the internet, or we can access something on the web. So in 1982, it became a standard for any computer device or any computer network. Before they actually access the internet, they should use this protocol. Rather than connecting every computer on the internet directly to every other computer on the internet, normally the individual computers in an organization are connected to each other in a local network. One node on this local network is physically connected to the internet. Like we discussed about node. Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of a node? We have discussed this. See, when we say internet, there can be a number of devices. There can be a computer, there can be a mobile, there can be a smartphone, or there can be a laptop, there can be a web server. So every device that is connected, we call it as a node. So like in our college, if you consider, we have a number of computers, and also a printer is connected, a scanner is connected, and so on. So all the devices that are present within that particular network, we can call them as the node, or we can say a computer, or you can say a system. So node can be a computer, or it can be a printer, and anything which is connected to the network. So what they're trying to tell is, instead of connecting every computer to the every other computer in the network or in the internet, it is possible in such a way that we will connect some of the computers within our organization or within certain region, and one computer or one device will be connected to the other computer which is present on the other side of the network. Let me explain you in more detail. Suppose that say that this is our network, one network present at our college, and this is a network which is present at some of our neighboring college. So instead of connecting every computer to every other computer, suppose say that I want to have a connection from this computer to this entire network. So I should have a connection from this computer, again from this computer, so this computer to this computer, and so on. So instead of having all these connections from one computer to the every other computer on the internet or on the network, we can do it in a more proper way. So these all computers are connected at my college, and these all computers are connected at some other college. So here I will have some special device. I can call it as a router. So a router is nothing but a device or a tool, we can say, which helps us to find a particular route or find us a particular roadmap, so that we can send a file or send a information to the proper destination. So all these computers are connected, and only one computer will be connected to this router, and from here again a connection will be set to the router. So this router is present at our neighboring college, and from this computer there is a connection. So instead of having connection from one computer to every other computer present on the internet, we can have such setups. So again, at the end of this computer, I can have another router or another switch or hub and so on, which can be connected to some other network and so on. So this we call it as the internet. So we can say that. So the internet is actually a network of networks rather than network of computers. So practically all devices connected to the internet must be uniquely identified. I mean, having a connection of from one computer to every other computer is not practically possible. So we will have a small device or a router like thing, and through that we can connect to any other network and so on. In a broader perspective, let's say that we have some 50 computers and we are getting the internet from the BSNL head office. So all these computers will be connected to the head office at railway station, and from there again there will be a connection to the regional office at say Bengaluru, and from there again will be a connection to the US and so on. So like this, the internet is set up. So now when we say that internet is a collection of a huge collection of millions of computers or thousands of computers, we should be uniquely or we should be able to identify each and every computer and node uniquely. So for that, we must have some naming conventions. Like we want to uniquely identify the students. So we will be having the register number or we will be having the roll number so that we can identify every student uniquely. So similarly in the internet, whenever say from here, I want to send a computer to Abhishek. So Abhishek will be having his computer or the smartphone. And from here, I want to send some information or want to receive some information. I want to know his device name or proper destination, we can say. Usually in terms of internet, we use the source and destination. So from my source computer to the destination computer, I want to send a file or I want to send an email. So to do that, I want to uniquely identify the name. So those uniquely identifiable names are called as the IP addresses, or we call it as the Internet Protocol address. So what this IP address will do? This IP address is required or it is essential for both the communicating devices. Not only for both the communicating devices, every computer which is connected to the internet must have or will have or it will must have a unique address. We call it as the IP address. To be more specific, consider in your C program, like what you will do, you will declare some variables like int, total, subtraction, multiplication, and so on. Then you want to store some values in these variables. So the computer user or a C programmer will be using these variables name like total, subtraction, addition, and so on, like variables A, B, and so on. For our reference, we are using the variables to store some values. But internally, the compiler, what it will do, it will identify these variables by something called as the addresses. Okay. So for our memory location, we can say in data structures also you'll be studying. So every variable that we are storing, it will have some unique address in the C compiler or in the computer system. So with that, computer will deal. Similarly, when we say about the IP address for users, like for common users, it is very difficult to remember these IP addresses because these IP addresses will be very complicated and it will be very difficult. So what basically we will do, we do is we remember only the URLs or we will be remembering the domain names. We call it as the domain name. And the whenever we type something, it will be redirected to that particular IP address and we can get the information. So this is the main thing that we need to understand and we need to focus. And this IP address is a combination of or it is a unique number which is of 32-bit. So IP addresses usually are written and thought of as a 4 8-bit numbers separated by periods. So to know the IP address, so now I'm connected to the internet. So if I want to know my IP address, so what I will do, I will go to the CMD command prompt. Okay, and open a command prompt. Those who are having the computer or the laptops, you can try doing this. So here there is a command called as ipconfig, 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 and press enter button. It will display the IP addresses. Again, there are variety of IP addresses. We have IPv4 and IPv6 addresses. What is that IPv4 and IPv6? We will discuss it later. So IPv4 is the address that we are currently using, and IPv6 is the address that we'll be using in the future. So in this IPv4 address, we can see that 192.168.49.1. So this is the IP address, like Ethernet address, Wi-Fi address, and so on. What is the subnet mask default gateway? This is not required for you, but this is only of your concern. So here, this is a 32-bit unique number, and each 32-bit it is separated by 8-bit number. So like what we are specifying here is a decimal number, but internally this decimal number will be stored in terms of a binary number of 8 bits each. So 192, this number 192 will be stored with a unique number in binary. Similarly, we'll be having 168, then we'll be having 49, and so on. So like this, we can have n number of combinations. This 192 is dot 168.49.1. So if I keep this as constant, 192, 168.49 constant, and if I change here, it can have 256 combinations from 0 to 255. Like for example, suppose say that for my college, so if suppose say that my starting address is 192.168.1. So here I can have what? I can have combinations from 0. Okay. So next IP address can be 192.168.1.1. So like this, so on. I can have a number of combinations, and I can have 192.168.1.255. Because with 8-bit representation, the maximum value that we can have is 255. So it will be like from 0 to 255. Next combination, if I want, I will keep this constant 192.168. Here I will make a combination as 2. From again 2 onwards, I can have 0. Again, I can have 192.168.2.1, and so on. So like this, we can have n number of combinations or varieties of combination. So here I am keeping only this constant. You may change this as well. You may start with 0 dot, or you can start with 1 dot, say 1 dot, 1 dot, 1. Okay, you can have 1 dot, 0 dot, and so on. So like this, for every field, you can have 256 combinations, because this value can take from 0 to 255. This value can also take from 0 to 255. This value can also take from 0 to 255. This value also can take from 0 to 255. So like this, we can have different types of IP addresses or unique addresses, so that the information or the file that is present on every computer can be accessed uniquely. But for normal users, it is very difficult to remember these IP addresses. So for that, we use the domain names. Okay, so this we call as the domain name. The 4 parts are separated separately used by the internet routing computers to decide where a message must go next to get its destination. Like in this, if the IP address is 192.168.2.0, that means it should go to this particular computer. If it is 2.1, it should go to this particular computer and so on. So although people nearly always type domain names into their browsers, the IP works just as well. So we usually use this domain names like www.ul.com, www.google.com, www.facebook.com, and so on. But rather than this, we will be having basically they will be having a unique IP address. Like they are given an example, United Airlines. So its IP address is 209.87.113.93. So if a browser is pointed at this, so even if I type this or if I type this, I will access the same information. Like for every computer, so I want to give a small task. I want to check the IP address of Google, Facebook, Amazon, and so on. So just search in the internet and try to type this. Okay. I have not checked whether it is correct or no, because this is just given in the textbook. So if you know the IP address of a particular website, like for google.com, and instead of typing google.com in the browser here, instead of typing the usually we type google.com or gccbgm.org. So if I know the IP address, even if I type the IP address, I will access the same information. So usually we type this and we can go to that particular web address. But apart from this, if you know the IP address, with that also you can search. The IP addresses, next we'll be studying about the domain names. The IP addresses are numbers. Hence, it would be difficult for other users to remember the IP address. As we discussed, IP addresses are combination of numbers, and it is very difficult to remember for the normal users or for the common man. So to solve this problem, text-based names were introduced, and these are technically known as the domain name system. Now the task is like for the users, okay, for user like us, we will be typing the website names or the domain names. But for the computer or for the internet, it will identify it by the using the IP address itself. So that we can get the proper information from a particular source and the same information can be sent to the destination. So how this domain name will be converted into the IP address, that we will be discussing the next class, where we will understand how this domain names belongs and how this domain names can be converted into IP addresses. Because when I am searching for a particular file, it will be present at some server or at some machine. So, and that machine can be understood by the computer only by its IP address, not by the domain name. So there should be a conversion should occur so that the internet or the computer can identify what is the IP address and where I should send the information or from which device I should communicate. And also these domain names will be having different names, or it will be having a different end names, like it can have .org, .in, .com, and so on. So we'll be discussing in detail about this. So you can also search as an assignment what is the meaning of .org, .com, .in. All these are same or whether they are different. So these things you can search. And this HTTP means it is a hypertext transport protocol. Then followed by a colon and double slash. Then followed by that, we will be writing the name of a website or a domain name. So this is about the brief about the internet and about the IP addresses.